Hey there, I'm Terry, and I'm the intuitive healer for folks who have anxiety and want to access their soul evolution and intuition. There's more than meets the eye here as we chat and hang out in these episodes that have spiritual, esoteric, multidimensional, somatic, quantum techniques, tools, and tips to help you get unstuck and move you forward in your day-to-day life. So join me in discovering your path to help you clear anxiety of the past, align your energy to the present, and create your new future. Okay. So everybody, hello, welcome to the portal with Terrie Huberman. I have an awesome guest. So for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you could probably see him. His name is McAdams. So I wanted to share with you Michael because he's got so much really wonderful, yummy things in the esoteric, angelic, and metaphysical world to share with you. He has messages to share with you. And I want him to tell you all about his book and all the fun things. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael. So Michael, it's such a great pleasure to meet you and to have you here on the portal. Welcome.
Hi, Terry. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Yeah. Okay. So you wrote a book. Let's just start with the book. You wrote a
All
book.
right.
Tell us about your book so people can buy your book.
Well, I'm just the messenger. I don't take credit for the book, although I have received messages and teachings dictated from spirit teachers myself. But
Nice.
the book is titled An Angel Told Me So. But how do you know this to be true?
Yeah.
An angel told me so.
I love
The
it.
book is the first of three volumes, going to be
Okay.
three books in the series, and it's a collection of messages and teachings
Okay.
dictated directly from spirit teachers from the other side,
Yeah.
dictated word for word through my mother, so I know the source.
I was
And
gonna
she
say,
received these,
how did, like, who was the well, obviously you're the conduit, but how it came. So it came from your mom. That's amazing.
she received these messages and teachings for 22 years.
Wow.
And this was not channeling, this was not automatic writing.
Okay.
She had received in thought, like most all of us do. We're
Yeah.
all spoken to,
Hmm.
led, guided, directed, warned. I'd slow down up ahead if I were you.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Yeah.
But when she was led to sit down in these dedicated sessions, she had set up an electric typewriter in her kitchen. And she would be led in her mind, we have a message for you. And she would put a sheet of paper in the typewriter, drop down 5 lines, and dent 5 spaces, just like you were going to do a letter.
Yeah.
And she said she would see 3 or 4 words just float into her mind and hang there. They would not go away until she typed them. Once she typed those 3 or 4 words, they would just fade away and 3 or 4 more would show up.
Wow.
That's how she got these messages.
Wow. That's
Full page, single space typed, many times with no paragraphs. But the
yeah.
spirit teachers presenting these messages did include punctuation.
That's amazing. That's so great. They're grammatically correct. That's fantastic.
And these spirit teachers in these messages repeatedly refer to themselves in first person.
Hmm.
We feel, we believe, we advise. Our view encompasses more than your view can comprehend. One line in a message said, "We hear the spirit cries above the words you speak."
Mm.
Who talks like that?
No, it's
It's an amazing body of material.
so how did you come across the material? Did you find it or what? How did?
I was brought up with a foundation of faith,
Okay.
Pentecostal church.
Okay.
My entire family were pastors, uh, preachers. My mother was extremely religious, daily reader of her Bible. I always had questions, even when I was young. My grandmother had received sermons dictated to her mind in thought that she would write down and preach in church. And
Okay.
she would even receive verses to songs that
Wow.
she would write down and put to music. In the book, An Angel Told Me So, in the photo gallery, are 6 verses of a song that my grandmother received in a hospital in Columbus. They had taken her to a hospital from Dayton, Ohio. She had sugar diabetes. They didn't think she was going to make it.
Wow.
And she was in a room by herself. She was praying. And these words started to come into her mind that she wrote down in pencil. My sister still has the original paper where she wrote these words down. And those 6 verses will almost bring you to tears.
Yeah.
And I remember when my grandmother would receive this information, and I was young, she would say that God had spoken to her heart and given her this information. That's the perspective that someone with a church-based, Bible-based foundation is going to interpret anything that they receive. Well, that's just God speaking to my heart.
Yeah.
People who are more spiritual in nature, who read metaphysical material, who read and learn about spirit guides, spirit teachers, master teachers, they know that we're not alone, that we each have our own spirit teachers working with us, and that information, guidance, direction, support can be easily relayed and received if we're just willing to accept and tune in.
That's really interesting. So there's a perspective, like a more religious perspective of what we in the metaphysical world would call like a download from spirit. In the religious world, it sounds like it for them to sort of make peace with it. It's God speaking to their heart, which I love that perspective. The work that I do with my clients is very heart centered. So and that's where intuition lives, is in the heart. So the fact that someone who is religious can still receive without having that block of, well, this is the devil, or this is, some evil entity, because they may not realize, well, there is no separation, but it might feel like a separation. I love that they say that they take it into their heart and it's coming from their heart. That's beautiful. That's so accepting in a very
Well,
weird way.
one of the lines in this message said that we are with you always, as close as your heartbeat.
I mean,
And
it's
they
right
are.
there. Yeah,
They
they are.
are.
Yeah,
Now, for anyone and like I said, we're all spoken to. I don't think there's anyone listening to this that would say, well, that's happened to me.
sure.
That I've been told things, I've been advised not to do things. We have a pesky little thing called free will, and
Hmm.
we can accept or reject any advice, guidance, direction, or support that we're given.
Yeah.
But when these spirit teachers will present these messages and teachings, they're given with a personal woven with a personal thread. The messages and teachings in the book, An Angel Told Me, so volume 1, were pretty much all personal message to my mother and to me. When
Okay.
she was led to sit down in a session, she would receive a message addressed to her from her spirit teachers.
Uh-huh.
And then they would move out. My spirit teachers would move in and present a message addressed to me. But
Okay.
again, it's like these messages and teachings are woven with a
Yeah.
universal thread.
Yeah.
And everyone who has read these messages have said, well, this sounds like what I'm dealing with. This sounds like they're talking to me. And I tell people, I say, when you get the book, read each message once as it was given for my mother and given for me. Then read that same message again as if it's being presented for you and see what hits. And it's amazing what hits.
Yeah, because again, you're dealing with different perspectives, right? So if we're looking at it like just a message for your mom and you, that's just one mindset of, reality or consciousness. And then when you personalize it, it's like, whoa, that's a different consciousness.
Well,
Yeah.
it's more the tone and the teachings themselves. I mean,
Yeah,
we all have different life experiences.
sure.
We've all gone through different things. Not everyone is going to have those same experiences, but just the teachings themselves.
Yeah.
And for people who would like to say, well, how can I do this? I'd like to be able to do this too. And anytime that you're willing to open your mind and accept information from spirit teachers from the other side, you always want to establish a filter, an aura of protection, a filter.
Sure.
And there are affirmations that you can say to provide that. But you just want to make sure that anytime you open your mind, that you're not allowing any negativity, negative thoughts to flow in looking for a warm, fuzzy place to make a home.
Right, right, because it's the energy force. It's life force. So you don't need that attaching
Right.
to you in any way. So I'm still unclear though, because your mom had these messages that she has written down. Did, did you, how did, so you put it into a book, at least one volume, because you said there's three volumes, but did you, again, like, how did you discover all of it? Like, how did this come about? Was this something that your mom just sort of was like, hey, I sat down and this is what I got, and she shared it with you as she would write them? Or is this something you discovered? Or,
Well, like I said, when she had received in thought, and she was working around the kitchen one day, and these words started to come into her mind. She knew it
right.
was coming, and she picked up pen and paper. She had beautiful handwriting, and she wrote this out in longhand. And this was a message that she received. I happen to have it here. Let me.
Yeah, I would love to hear it too.
So this was a message that she received that she felt was confirmation that she should put these messages and teachings in a book. She
Ah,
had been
okay.
praying about it.
Got
And
it.
so this just came to her in thought. And this was the message she received. Emptiness is part of fulfillment. Let your resources fill the void left so that distinction of your purpose can be found. Expression is always self-explanatory. Therefore, look inside and anchor all your beliefs beside those still waters that will take away your troubled view and renew your strength to recapture that which was lost, but is now found to be adequate to pursue the course set before you. And as you reconcile your being to represent those qualities that have been left intact, God will see to it that although circumstances have been trying, to say the least, your weariness will disappear as clouds once removed allow the sun to shine to dispel the gloom and darkness that has pervaded your countenance. And as once described before, a token of this presence will be deposited to your account and books recorded in his name.
Mm, wow. That's potent.
And that was, she felt, she said she'd been praying about it. That's in volume one of the book. And it's actually, that message is on the back cover of the book.
Mm, nice.
Now
Okay.
she had these messages and teachings, like I said, they're deep, profound. My website is spiritspeaks.com. And
Mhm.
if you go to the website, at the top, there's tabs: bio for myself, bio for my mother. And there's a tab for a television interview that my mother gave in Cincinnati. Posted on her interview is a message from volume two of the book, which is not out yet. And this was a message, this was the only time in a session where she was led to sit down and receive. Two different spirit teachers moved in the same session, gave two different messages, and signed two different names.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it
I-
was obvious that the second teacher was a different teacher than the
yeah.
first, because the whole cadence and phrasing of the message is different.
Yeah.
But the first teacher's message, the message posted on her interview, was pretty much more of just a long paragraph. But the next to the last line is the line that'll get you.
Mm.
And he says, there are others here who wish to make themselves known to you, so I will step aside for this time.
Hmm.
My question is, who are the others and where is here? What do you mean there are others here? Where are you in relation to us on this physical plane?
Well, I mean, when you know how energy works, it's easy for us to explain it. Just different frequencies can tune into different, if you want to call it, levels of reality. Like, for example, let's take a radio station, right? Let's say, Michael, you want to listen to rap. Okay. You have to turn the dial so that you can find that station that plays rap, right? Maybe you want to play rap, but you keep getting the country, right? So there's no way you're going to be able to hear rap if you are not turning the dial to the right station. So that's what I'm thinking when they're saying here, it's on whatever level of vibrational frequency that they're at. And for them, it's real. And for them, it's where they're at vibrationally.
Actually, I believe that we exist on this physical plane,
Mm-hmm.
physical universe, almost incomprehensibly vast. You know, the James Webb telescope has photographed a galaxy 7,000 light years away.
Yeah.
That's 186,000 miles a second
Yeah.
times 7,000 years.
Yeah.
And there is life, planets, societies, civilizations all across the universe.
Yep.
Adjacent to this physical plane is a spiritual realm.
Right.
And we're separated from that spiritual realm by a veil, a vibration, a frequency, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And that spiritual realm is just as vast and all encompassing as this physical plane.
Yeah.
But I believe there's also levels in the spiritual realm. People with a church-based, Bible-based foundation would consider that to be heaven. But I
Right.
think it's a lot more than just heaven,
Right.
because there are levels in that spiritual realm of various, call them celestial beings, if you will,
Sure.
spirit teachers, angels, that exist to be God's direct representatives.
Yeah.
Now, these messages and teachings, like I said, they're deep, profound teachings, but each one of these messages either end with a really profound tagline or a deep, profound last paragraph. And this message that my mother received, where the two spirit teachers moved in the same session. Once this first spirit teacher moved out, second teacher moved in, gave a page and a half,
Oh.
typewritten, single space typed. And I won't read the whole thing, but this last paragraph, I mean, I've had people say, well, I just got chills.
Hmm.
So the second teacher's message moved in, and this was the last paragraph of his message. You are not as sheep, herded here and there, but you are likened unto the lamb that is cared for individually, nourished and loved until the full and total development allows it to be master of itself. So is man so kept and denied only those things that would not in the long run nourish his spirit. God is all wise and loving in his dispensations. We are not to judge the workings of our Father, nor are we to judge each other. Work always to improve your own beings, for in the end time, there lies your soul, with all the nourishment that you have given it, totally dependent upon the outcome of your intentions.
Yes. I mean, yes. So I don't even have words for that. I'm sure I'm not the only person that you've come across that
Well,
has
and
the same
and if
reaction.
you read these in that context and
Yeah.
ends up with that kind of a paragraph,
Yeah.
I mean, and not everyone is going to get messages and teachings this deep to start out with.
Sure. Sure.
And the Bible says test the spirit.
Yeah.
And the spirit teachers that you're dealing with here, they don't mind taking a quiz. They don't mind if you want to check to see how they're doing. There are people, I know a friend of mine, a lady who swears up and down she has a parking spot angel.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that everywhere she goes, she will say a prayer, ask for a parking spot, and lo and behold, every time she gets there, there's a spot she's looking for.
yep. So when I was in training for my mediumship and psychic, I call it boot camp because it was very it was very intense. We had to find our guides, right? So we had to find our angels who I put everyone together. I call them all God, employees of God. That's how I see them as. And so what I learned from that experience and what I experienced, and it's hard to put human words to that experience, is that there are different guides, spirit teachers, masters, gurus, whoever, whatever. Again, these are employees of God that have certain roles and certain functions for each human to guide them through their human life, because as humans, we have free will. So we get to make choices and decisions which evolve our soul, right?
That's
So it's
true.
all about soul evolution. So when you're talking about parking angels, to me, that's really familiar because a lot of times they'll be like, okay, parking angel, travel angel, right? Healing angel, sense of humor angel, whoever, whatever. They know what they're doing. As a human, it's very difficult to understand what their jobs are, but they know what they're doing. So when you're saying that to me in my world and my colleagues and my clients, it's very normal and natural to have, yeah, we have an angel for, for traffic, for parking, for all of those.
Well, I wouldn't think of them so much as employees as more of representatives,
Sure.
represent God's direct representatives. And I'm not sure that we really have a different angel for each one of these things, but our spirit teachers can take care of multiple things. We each have
Oh,
our
yeah.
own spirit teachers. I've had people that I've talked to, they said, well, your grandmother received, your mother received. They said, do you receive? I said,
Mm,
yes. I said, I'm spoken to. I receive. My dad had retired in Florida. He had a small place down there, and he would go down for 6 months over the winter. I would drive down from Ohio, uh, straight through 12, 13 hours. Interstate 75 is our interstate, and through Georgia, 5.5 hour state. Speed limit's 70. I had cruise set on 80. They'll give you 10. They may not give you 11, but they'll give you 10. And I had the radio turned off, not thinking about anything. And a thought came into my mind and it said, I'd slow down up ahead if I were you.
yeah.
Glanced in the rearview mirror, didn't see anything. Shut cruise off on the steering wheel, let the car coast down to about 72, topped a little rise in the freeway. There sat a Georgia State Highway Patrol.
Yep.
Now, whether or not he would have pulled out after me at 80, like I said, they'll normally give you 10, or if you tap the brakes, they see that you're paying attention. I was in the right lane, just cruising. I wasn't, weaving in and out.
Yeah.
But I got past him and ran the cruise back up to 80. And out loud in the car, I said, thank you, Spirit.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was my mother's favorite expression when she
Yeah.
would be told something, given information that would come true. She would always acknowledge and
Yeah.
thank Spirit for helping her.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that part. And I think it's because when these thoughts come through for us, many people, not all people, but many people don't realize that it is that thought being dropped from the divine, like divine communication. But a lot of the time, and what I try and tell people and teach people is like, whether you think it's your thought or not, always just say, thank you, God, or thank you, or whatever, because that is, well, not only are you able to practice gratitude, but again, energy works off of momentum. So then you get to have more of those experiences where you're able to say thank you again, thank you again. And it's for the tiny little things. People think it has to be for these big, huge things. But no, tiny little things. Not that what you experienced was a tiny thing. To me, it was actually a pretty decent sized thing. Experience. And that's fantastic. I, it sounds like a lot of what you're saying is, or what you're trying to teach us, is that these thoughts are important. They should be considered and they could be from the divine. So why not respect it and sort of follow through with it too? Like
Right.
you're being communicated with, even if you don't know the who, what, why, when, or how. And a lot of times that's not even, as I call it, it's none ya. It's none of your business. That's what I say.
These spirit teachers, their joy is in our recognition of their existence.
Mm-hmm.
That is what they appreciate most,
Yeah.
because that is their duty. Their job right now is to work with us. They're assigned to us.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I say, thoughts that you receive, thoughts that are incoming into your mind, they have a different feel than thoughts that you just think as you look out the window of your car or something that you're dealing with. And it's a subtle difference. But if you can tell the difference, if you can, you know, recognize the difference between a thought that you think and a thought that's incoming, then you realize and separate, the help that you're receiving from something that you may want to do that may not work out in your best interest.
Do you ever find, because I'm curious, do you ever find that the thought that's coming in has a different sound or voice than, or does it come in your voice like it's your thought and your voice, but just slightly like a,
There is no voice. It's a
okay.
thought. Yeah, there's no
Right.
voice to a thought. Uh, but it's just like it's a subtle difference.
Right.
It's a feeling in your mind, but it's so subtle that you need to just pay attention and see when those things come from. Now, when I was first looking for a publisher, I was on a number of different publisher websites.
Hmm.
One of the websites asked questions about your work. One
Hmm.
of the questions was, what makes your material unique? Why would anyone want to read this? I thought that was a really good question. And I was sitting where I'm sitting right now at my computer. I didn't really even ask for an answer, but an answer started to be dictated to my mind. It was 12 lines long. And I just typed it down and it came just as fast. And it let me, it didn't come too fast. Let me type. When it got done, when it got to the end, it just stopped. And I have read this answer to a number of hosts on the air, and more than one has teared up. May I
Hmm.
share this with you and your
Sure.
audience?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the question was, what makes your material unique? Why would anyone want to read this? And this is the answer that I was given. The uniqueness of any material is in the manner in which it touches the soul. An open and searching mind pulls the soul and the body in which it inhabits onward and upward with hunger and determination in its quest for spiritual nourishment, ever mindful that the path upon which we walk is the path toward God. Lives lived, experiences endured, goals accomplished, and loved ones lost are all encounters upon that path. Strive always for the highest possible communication with our Heavenly Father. Believe in yourself as the Father within you is guiding, leading, directing, and comforting you upon this journey that we call life. Blessings be upon you as you walk your chosen pathway.
That's beautiful.
That was not me, but
No.
I appreciated the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a certain lightness that can be felt from that. It's not like a heavy, dense sensation. It's very light, uplifting, which is really
Comforting,
comforting. Yeah.
comforting. And that the whole nature of this information is just it's a comforting, positive affirmation that we're not alone, that we each have our own spirit teachers. And again, we have that pesky little gift called free will.
Yeah.
We can accept or reject any advice, guidance, direction that we're given. And people do that. They can be told or advised or thought in their mind that they ought to do this, and they do what they want to do because they just feel that that's going to be the best course. And when it doesn't work out, hopefully they can reflect on that, look back, and pay more attention going forward.
So with all of this, and this, it sounds like there's a familial connection with this, if it was grandma, mom, and then you. Um, was this because and also you had a religious upbringing. Was this in conflict at all? Like, did because it doesn't seem like there was a lot of, and I could be wrong, okay? That there was a lot of conflict with being religious and being able to receive these comforting messages. Because I think a lot of people feel you can't do both.
That's a misconception.
That's what I think.
And that again, when you explain that these are our spirit teachers, which are the same thing as angels, just viewed from a different perspective, one religious, one spiritual.
Right.
And I've had people ask me, they say, well, are these spirits? How do you feel about, getting information from spirits? And I have to make the differentiation. I have to tell them these are not spirits. We're not talking spirits. We're not talking ghosts. We're not talking anything like that. Spirit teachers are angels. That's the very definition of an angel is a spirit teacher. And those with a foundation of faith, whether you want to believe that the information again is God touching, speaking to your heart, whether you want to believe it's an angel that's talking to you, or if you're open to your own spirit teachers, spirit guides. The information is from a divine source. They are God's direct representatives.
Yeah.
And
I
that
just,
information is available to each of us 24 hours a day.
yeah. And I think your message of that is really important, especially with the way the current world is working. There's so much outside noise, right? So a lot of that outside noise can sort of distract us and take us away from hearing in our hearts God speak to us, or God's representatives speak to us, or you know, whatever fits each person's, you know, interpretation. And so what I love about what you're saying is I feel like you're making it easy. Like, don't complicate it. Like, just be okay with whatever you receive, whether you feel it in your heart, whether you're religious or non-religious, whatever. It's, listen to it, don't complicate it. That's a
Right.
lot of what I'm picking up from, at least your intention, even in just writing the book, is like, look, you're not
Well,
alone,
right.
you know, and this doesn't have to be hard.
Well, you asked earlier, you said, how did this come to be, this first volume? And when my mother would sit down in these sessions and receive these dedicated messages, I mean, she typed them out in a typewriter and then always made a copy for me.
Ah,
I have the originals. I have all the originals that she had typed. But when you have 22 years of messages
yeah,
and teachings, that's why there is enough material to fill
sure.
3 books, 3 volumes.
Yeah,
And as these messages and teaching continued over the years, it's like the spirit teachers started spreading the word on the other side, and higher teachers started moving in, giving even deeper and more profound teachings. And there was a message that one of the teachers said, we received these messages and teachings from higher teachers, and then we in turn pass them on to you. So these spirit teachers receiving these messages are recognizing and saying that there are even higher teachers
higher.
above them
Yeah,
that are receiving, that are sharing this information.
there's a
And that's how
hierarchy.
that's the profound nature of the other side, the
Yeah,
spiritual realm on the other side of this physical plane.
that's
And
why.
I recently saw a post and it said, I don't want to just believe, I want to know. And I believe that there are a lot of people, foundation of faith, there or not, that people they want to know. We can have faith until you're just the faith finally gives out.
Yeah,
But when you can read dictated messages from spirit teachers from the other side, this is proof, real proof of the existence of a spiritual realm on the other side of this physical plane. You don't just have to have faith when you can read dictated messages from spirit teachers.
yeah. Yeah. And again, what it does is it gives you comfort and it simplifies things. You know, when someone knows or realizes that they're not alone, they feel safer. And when you feel safer, it means you can, for all intents and purposes, manage your human in a more loving and kind and compassionate way too. So you're also not so much of a jerk to other people. And then that goes and that goes and that goes, right? Because of the law of one. I mean, we're all from one space. You know, we're all light beings. So,
I tell people, I say, there is no death.
yeah,
We never really die. It's just graduation.
it's graduation.
We ride around in these bodies the way we ride around in our cars.
Correct.
These bodies are just a vehicle to negotiate this physical plane.
Yeah.
And when your body wears out or you're taken by accident, then it's time to separate from this body. And you have your spirit, your soul, your personality assumes a spiritual form.
Hmm.
And then you may go to an evaluation center to look back on your life to see how you handled things, how you dealt with people, how you treated people.
Yeah.
And then you may be reassigned.
Right.
I mean, look at the children born to Bill Gates and Steven Spielberg. They'll want for nothing.
Yeah.
Granted, they'll have their challenges, but
Oh, yeah.
that kind of wealth and connections is going to make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And then you have people born to alcoholic fathers, drug addicted mothers, abusive parents. You could be born in Iraq, Iran,
Yeah.
China, North Korea.
Sure.
Is it just luck of the draw? Did Bill Gates and Steven Spielberg's kids win the lottery and we didn't? Or are we assigned to a certain set of parents in a certain social station for whatever it is we're supposed to learn in this lifetime?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're open to that, then you're open to reincarnation.
Right. Right. And it's like, you know, so many people give the analogy of a game, right? And you just level up with each human, your soul evolves based on that experience. And when that lesson or that mission is complete, level up to another one, you know, all of
Right.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
and to believe that we're here for this blink of an eye existence in the great scheme of things. Whether you live 15, 20, 25 years or get to be a ripe old age of 80 or 85, it's still just an extremely short period of time.
Sure.
And based upon that short period of time, you're either going to go to the good place or the bad place for all eternity with no chance for reprieve, no chance for a do-over. And I knew a lady one time, she knew all the various things that I was involved in. She was extremely religious, brought up Baptist, and she had a son that was constantly getting into trouble,
Mm-hmm.
constantly. And the money that they spent on bail and fines and attorneys and just to keep him out of trouble. And I asked her one time, I said, is there anything that your son could do, anything at all, that would cause you not to want to give him another chance?
Hmm.
And she just looked down and said, no. And I said, what makes you think God loves us any less? Do you really believe that we're going to be sentenced to eternal damnation and punishment forever with no chance for reprieve because we were stupid or because of the background that we had or the people that we associated with or the bad choices we made of friends? And there is a movie. Did you ever see the movie Defending Your Life?
Okay, so I was thinking of Defending Your Life when you were talking, and then I literally just recommended a girlfriend watch that movie because her friend passed away. And she was like, well, what goes on? And I'm like, you got to watch this movie because it's like chef's kiss. It's perfect. Yes.
Well, I used to do psychic readings, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
I
It
did
is.
psychometry. I had a
Yeah.
table, a group called Psychic World for about a year and a half. I
Nice.
got messages for people. But another movie besides Defending Your Life is called Always. Have you ever seen
Okay.
Always?
I have not, but I'm going to put that on my list.
Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter.
Okay. Okay.
Those two are kind of in the same vein. And then
Nice.
there's a third one that I recommend called The Last Mimsy,
Oh, okay.
MIMSY.
All right. These are great recommendations. Thank you so
And they're
much.
family friendly.
Oh, that's even better. It's even better because, you know, you can get the young ones to watch too. And
Now,
then
the other thing, I've done book signings and presentations. Are you familiar with Casadega? Did you ever hear of Casadega?
I have not, no.
Casadega is the largest spiritual and psychic community in Florida, 20
Oh,
miles south of Daytona. I was down there, I was in Florida the last 2 weeks of December, and I
hmm.
did a presentation and a book signing at Casadega. And
Nice.
they are a sister community of Lilydale, New
Ah,
York.
okay. That makes
Did you
sense.
ever hear of Lilydale?
Yes, yes. Lilydale, yes.
They
Casadega,
have my
I
book at
just
the bookstore there. I've done presentations there. Did you ever see the documentary that HBO did on Lilydale?
I have not. I
All
now I
right,
want
you
to.
write this down
Yes.
or remember it. Uh, this documentary, this HBO documentary, is free on YouTube.
Okay.
You go to YouTube and in the search box, type in "No One Dies in Lilydale."
No one dies in Lilydale.
Right?
Okay,
There is
cool.
no death.
Right.
And when the choices come up, you want to look for the one posted by KL Audio.
AL audio.
That one's free. I
Okay.
think some of the other ones might be $1.99. And
Okay.
I know all the mediums in that documentary.
Oh, nice.
Curtis starts out at the beginning. Jonathan White, he was really a nice guy. He passed away a year ago this past spring. Gregory Kahn, he's interesting. He's got kind of a sing-song voice. And then you'll see Sherry Lee Calkins. And
Hmm.
Sherry's the one that I stay with when I do book signings there.
Nice. Very
But
nice.
it's the world's oldest and largest community of spirit mediums and readers. Been around since 1877.
Yeah. You're talking about Lilydale though, right? Not,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Cassadaga was founded in the early 1900s
Okay.
as a breakaway group from Lilydale.
Yeah. No, the
And this was
Lilydale. Yeah.
and this was called back in the day, they called it the religion of spiritualism. And
Yes.
Lilydale, which is 60 miles south of Buffalo, Buffalo's Niagara Falls, they would have 35 to 40,000 people come through Lilydale in a season.
Yeah.
And their season is short. It
Yeah.
starts, I think, the first week of June and runs through the second week of September
Yeah.
because
It's
they're in the
basically,
snow belt, lake effect snow.
yeah.
I
It's
asked Sherry one time, I said, do you get a lot of snow in the winter? And she said, well, once we get over 200 inches, we quit counting.
it's all the same. Michael, it's been wonderful having you here on the portal. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it, Terry. Thank you so much.
What I'm going to do is in the show notes, I'm going to put all your contact information, your website, so people can purchase your books and get even more in depth with all of the messages. Is there any place that you want to promote where you can, like, is there on social media? You're on Facebook. I know you're on Facebook.
Right.
Any other place people can find you?
The book itself is available on the website, spiritspeaks.com.
Okay.
It's available through Barnes and Noble. Any Barnes and Noble store across the country can get it. My national distributor is Ingram, so
Okay.
any bookstore in the country can order through Ingram.
Oh, perfect.
It's on Amazon,
Great.
and I have a contact page on my website. Oh, also on the website, if you scroll down to the middle of the homepage, I don't know if you saw it, there's a painting that I have at
I
home.
did see that. Yes.
Did you take the journey through the painting and find the hidden messages?
I haven't yet, but I'm going to.
Right. When you do, when you click on the painting the first time, instructions will come up and you'll move your mouse around on the objects. When you find a hidden message, a little hand comes up. And when you click on that, a writing comes up that corresponds with what you clicked on in the painting. And you don't
Awesome.
want to go back to the start. You want to stay there to find the next message. And
That's
when you get to the
fantastic.
last message, that last message is the message that I read to you that my mother received that she thought was confirmation she would put these messages and teachings in a book.
Oh, that's so
But
wonderful.
if any of your listeners, I always contact the host and I'll contact you the next day, and I will send you 3 messages from volume 2 of the
Oh,
book
oh,
that
that's
you can
wonderful.
print and hold in your hand.
Oh, that's so wonderful because there's energy in that. So
Right.
be able to
Well,
hold.
when we get off the air here, if you don't mind, share your email address and I'll send that to you.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Michael. And everybody, thank you for watching and listening to The Portal with Terrie Huberman. And don't forget, you've got a lot of power. You are not alone, as Michael was, just sharing with us and reminding us that we're not alone. Bye, everybody. Take care of that heart of yours. Well, our time in this now moment together has ended, but another now moment is on its way. Thank you so much for joining me in this human journey and listening to this podcast, The Portal with Terrie Huberman. I sure hope you're getting something out of it. I'm here to help you clear anxiety from the past, align your energy into the present, and help you create your future. My prayer for you is to find the peace and calmness in any given now moment so you can recognize when blessings are afoot and you get to choose your next adventure. Be curious and stay connected. You can always find me at terriehuberman.com. Bye now.